Personal Lines Insurance Practice Exam Free. Welcome to the quiz. Which of the following is a common characteristic of a personal umbrella liability policy? Is it A, it provides primary coverage for auto liability? Or B, it requires the insured to maintain specific underlying liability limits on auto and homeowners policies? C, it covers first-party property damage to the insured's home? Or D, it has a very low deductible? The answer is B. A personal umbrella policy is excess liability coverage that sits on top of primary policies like auto and homeowners to provide much higher limits for serious claims that exceed the underlying coverage. To qualify and keep the umbrella in force, the insured must carry minimum required liability limits on those underlying policies, for example, $250, 000/$500, 000 auto liability and $300,000 homeowners liability, because the umbrella only pays after those primary limits are exhausted. This underlying requirement ensures the umbrella functions truly as excess, not primary. Umbrellas do not provide primary coverage. They are excess and drop down only in rare cases. They focus on liability, third-party claims, not first-party property damage to the insured's own home. Deductibles, or self-insured retentions, on umbrellas are typically high, often $0 when underlying covers, but higher if dropping down, not very low. The defining trait is mandating adequate underlying limits to trigger excess protection. Next question. In homeowners insurance, what is the purpose of a special limit of liability or sublimit for certain categories of personal property? Is it A, to provide additional coverage for those items? Or B, to limit the amount payable for loss of items like jewelry, cash, or firearms unless scheduled separately? C, to exclude those items from coverage entirely? Or D, to establish the deductible for those items? The answer is B. Homeowners policies cover a wide range of personal property, but recognize that some items, like jewelry, fine arts, cash, silverware, firearms, or business property, carry higher theft risk, higher value per item, or greater loss potential. To keep premiums reasonable and prevent adverse selection, the policy places special sublimits on these categories, capping recovery at a lower amount than the overall personal property limit unless the insured schedules, lists, and often insures separately at full value with an endorsement. For example, jewelry might be limited to $1,500 to $2,500 total for theft unless scheduled. This limits exposure for the insurer on high-risk items while still providing some base coverage. Sublimits do not add extra coverage, they restrict it. They do not exclude the items completely. Coverage still applies up to the sublimit. Deductibles are separate and apply across the policy or per claim. The purpose is controlled, capped payout on specified high-value or high-risk categories unless extra protection is purchased. Next question. What is the grace period for a life insurance premium payment? Is it A, a 10-day period after the due date during which the policy lapses? Or B, a 31-day period, typically, after the due date during which the policy remains in force? C, there is no grace period for life insurance. Or D, a 60-day period that applies only to whole life policies? The answer is B. Life insurance policies include a grace period to give the policy owner extra time to pay an overdue premium without the policy lapsing immediately, protecting coverage during temporary payment delays. State laws and standard policy forms typically provide 30 or 31 days after the premium due date during which the policy stays in force. The death benefit remains payable if a claim occurs and coverage continues as normal. If payment arrives within this window, the policy is reinstated without issue. A 10-day period would be too short and lead to frequent lapses. Grace periods do exist in life insurance. They are standard. The 60-day idea is incorrect. Most are around 1 month, and it applies broadly to term, whole, and universal life, not just whole life. The grace period prevents abrupt termination for minor delays and gives reasonable protection to beneficiaries. Next question. What is a concealment in the context of an insurance application? Is it A, the intentional withholding of a material fact by the applicant? Or B, a type of exclusion for stolen property? C, the insurer's duty to hide policy details? Or D, a clause that conceals the premium amount? The answer is A. Insurance contracts rely on utmost good faith, meaning both parties must disclose important information honestly. Concealment occurs when the applicant deliberately hides or fails to reveal a material fact, something that would influence the insurer's decision to accept the risk, set the premium, or add conditions during the application process. Material facts include prior losses, health issues, driving record, or property conditions. If discovered later, concealment can allow the insurer to void the policy or deny a claim because the risk was misrepresented. Exclusions for stolen property are separate policy terms. Insurers must disclose policy details clearly. Concealment is the applicant's act, not the insurer's. Premiums are stated openly in declarations. Concealment specifically involves intentional non-disclosure of key facts by the applicant that affects underwriting. Next question. What is the primary factor that determines the cost of a personal umbrella policy? Is it A, the value of the insured's home? Or B, the number of vehicles owned? C, the underlying liability limits and the insured's risk factors, e.g., homes, cars, youthful drivers, Or D, the insured's occupation only? The answer is C. Personal umbrella premiums are relatively low compared to the high limits provided because the coverage is excess and only pays after underlying policies are exhausted. The main pricing driver is the exposure and risk level presented by the underlying policies and the insured's overall profile. Higher required underlying limits, e.g., $300,000 versus $100,000, increase premium because more primary coverage must be in place before the umbrella kicks in, but also the number and type of exposures matter. Multiple homes, several vehicles, teenage or youthful drivers, swimming pools, boats, or rental properties all raise the chance of a large liability claim. These factors determine the insurer's potential payout risk. Home value affects dwelling coverage but not directly umbrella cost. Vehicle count influences, but is part of broader risk factors. Occupation alone is rarely the primary driver in personal lines umbrellas. The combination of underlying limits and total risk profile sets the price. Next question. What does the duty to defend clause in a liability policy require the insurer to do? Is it A, defend the insured in a covered liability lawsuit, even if the suit is groundless? Or B, defend the insured in criminal proceedings? C, provide a defense only if the insured is found not liable? Or D, defend the insured's family members in any legal matter? The answer is A. Liability policies include a duty to defend, meaning the insurer must hire lawyers and pay legal costs to defend the insured against lawsuits seeking damages for covered bodily injury, property damage, or personal injury. This duty is broad. If the allegations in the complaint potentially fall within the policy's coverage, even if the claims seem weak, exaggerated, or ultimately proven false, the insurer must defend. This protects the insured from defense expenses in groundless, fraudulent, or meritless suits that still require response. Criminal proceedings are generally not covered under civil liability policies. Defense is provided regardless of ultimate liability. The duty exists if coverage is possible. Family members may be insureds under certain policies, but the duty applies to covered suits against insureds, not any legal matter. The broad duty to defend even questionable claims is a key benefit of liability insurance. That's it for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell us how many you scored out of 6 in the comments, and let me know what topic I should post next. Bye.